This is Gemara Nedarim Daf Pei Vav. All the learning for this month, the month of Teves, as the month winds down, has been generously sponsored by a close friend of the Daf, as a schos aliyas neshama for his father Aryalei ben Yaakov. B'siyata d'shmaya, the learning the entire Chabura should bring Aryalei ben Yaakov to a higher place in Gan Eden Shalmayla, closer to the Kisei HaKavod as he is Neneh for the Ziv HaShechina. And we pick it up from the bottom of Pei Hey Amid Beis. And we're just going to go up a few words to the teretz that are in the middle of discussing 5 lines from the bottom. Ella Amar Rav Huna B'rei Rav Yeshua. We're in the middle of trying to figure out whether one can be makdish a davar shaloi bala olam or not. Can you consecrate something that is not in the world at the moment or not? And we ended yesterday with the teretz of Rav Huna B'rei Rav Yeshua that said, "Ba'meres yikadshu yadai lo yisei." The way in the case in which Rav Yochanan and Nuri's rule does work, that you could be makadesh davar shaloi b'laylam, not to like Rav Yochanan and Sandler, which was the stira within Shmuel, who said you cannot be makadesh ma'aseh davar shaloi b'laylam. What's the difference? The case that it works is when she's yikachu yodai, my hands lo yisayim. So why does it work? 4 lines from the bottom. To yodayim osnayu ba'olam, because her hands are just in the world. Since her hands are in the world, therefore she could be makadesh them, even though right now the Ma'aseh Yadayim are not in the world. Asks the Gemara of Chiyamar Achi Kadsha, does this work? In the Baal. Why does this make it any better? Her hands are meshubed to her husband. Answers the Gemara, Da'amar L'chi Megarsha. She says that when I get divorced, now my hands are no longer meshubed, no longer encumbered to my husband. That's when they are Mikadesh Yadai Lo Yisayim. Ask the Gemara, very nice. But right now she is not as of yet divorced. So where do we know if right now she is not divorced? So how could she say that in the future, when I get divorced, then my Ma'aseh Yadayim should be Mikadesh Yadayim Lo Yisayim? How do we know that works as we turn over to Pei Avav Amid Aleph? Answers the Gemara, Amar Rav Ilah. The way that we know that it works, says Rav Ilah, the following equation. If someone would tell their friend, someone says, I'm selling you a field. When I buy it back from you, it should be hektish. Let's just get this clear. I have a field right now. I'm selling it to you. And I say, after you buy it, I'm going to buy it back. And then it should be hektish. Says the Gemara, Milai Kadsha. Of course, it works. So what do we see? We see even though right now, the field I didn't buy back yet. But because I could sell it and then buy it back, it does work to be mekadesh it now, even before that happened. So similarly, even though right now she is not as of yet divorced, she's able to mekadesh the Ma'aseh Yadayim, her hands, after she gets divorced, are mikadesh, are consecrated. Ask the Gemara, Maskiv Lo Rav Yirmiyah, says Rav Yirmiyah, go one step deeper in the analogy, and you're going to come up with an issue. Mi dami, sadezu shani mayichalcha hashta biyadehi. Says Rav Yirmiyah, 1 second. You have to really play out your analogy. What's the case? I have a field right now. I'm going to sell it to you, and then when I buy it back. But ask Rav Yirmiyah, right now, where is the field? Right now, it's in my possession. So maybe that's the reason why I could be mekadesh it after I buy it back from you. Whereas Isha biyada lahaktish ma'aseh yadeh, could a woman really consecrate that which she makes? Could she really consecrate that which she makes? No. Why? Because she's not yet married. Haladami. So says the Gemara, it's one step off. When we see the next case, it'll become a little clearer. You know what's more similar? Someone says to their friend the following. Sada zu shemacharti lecha. This field that I already sold to you, likish ekel chenem imcha taktish. Mi kadsha. It would work. So that's more comparable. Just like over here, she's not as of yet married. Just like over here, we're saying that what was Rav Yirmiyah's issue? Rav Yirmiyah's issue is the fact that the wife, to say it the way the Ran says it very clearly, the wife does not have any power over her hands. And since she does not have any power over her hands, it's not the same thing as the case of the field. In the case of the field, right now, I have possession over this field. So maybe that's the reason why after I sell it to you, I could buy it back and then be makdish it now. Because right now I have the field. But in the case of the woman, right now she doesn't have her hands. Right now her hands are meshuvah l'bayla. So rather the Gemara changes the analogy. The analogy is if someone says, Sadazu shemacharti lecha, I already sold the field to you. Now it's much more comparable. Just like her hands she doesn't own, he already sold the field to her. And he says, when I buy it back, I should be makdish it, it's going to work. Says the Gemara, 1 second, that doesn't work either. Maskiv la Rapapa, so asks Rapapa, mi dami. Gabe zvina, psika milsayu. When it comes to a sale, psika milsayu, it's an absolute, it's pasak, it's straight, that you could go and you could buy the field, and then be makdish it. Gabe isha, mi psika milsa. But by the woman, is it true? She doesn't have the right to her hands, and therefore, there's nothing pasuk that she could have a concrete way of saying, I'm going to get this. In the case of the field, you own the field right now. So I have a plan of action. What's my plan of action? Buy it back from you and then be makdish it. But the woman with her ma'aseh yadayim does not have the same. Halaidami elas, this is comparable to the following. So now attempting again to try to create the analogy between the ma'aseh yadayim of the woman and the case of selling the field, the following. My field that I gave you as a mashkoin, that I gave you as a security, meaning it's my field, but it's in your possession. Very similar, let's just play it out slowly. The woman's hands are hers, but whose possession are they in? The husband's. So someone says, when I redeem it, when I get back my security, when I get back my collateral, then taktish. Me like kacha. So that's a case that is comparable. Her hands are her own. Her husband has the current possession of them. So she says, when I get it back, it'll be makdish, just like she says in the case of the, one more time, just like she says in the case of the sale, that when I buy it back, that is when it should be akdish. So says the Gemara, very nice, but it's still not so clear. Maskiv la Rav Shisha Brei Rav Yidi. 6 lines from the bottom, mi dami. Sadeh biyodai liftaisa, very similar issue. When the field is a mashkin, I always have the ability, it's just a matter of money. I give you the cash, and what happens? I get back the field. Isha, biyadali iskarsha. Is it really in her power to get divorced and thereby get back the right to her hands? Of course not. So the cases are not comparable. Time number 3. This is comparable to Laimer Lechaveiroi. My field, that is a mashkoin by you. You currently have the rights, the security of my field. Le'eser shanim. You have them for the next 10 years. So for 10 years, I can't redeem it. But I tell you, after 10 years, when I redeem it from you, I apologize, I don't know what's going on with the highlighting today. When I redeem it from you, then what? Taktish, Miloi Kacha works. So that's going to be similar, that even though right now she cannot get herself divorced, but it's similar to the case that for the next 10 years I can't redeem the field either. Yet when I do, then I'll be able to be makdish it. 2 lines at the bottom. Maskla Rav Ashi, the Gemara doesn't stop and asks Rav Ashi, mi dami, it's still not comparable. Hasam kayitz isha. Hasam kits, over there, to set amount, it's 10 years. A question I'm sure is bothering everyone. This is so obvious. In the case of the field, it's 10 years. 10 years I can't redeem it. But boom, at year number 10, then I could. But Isha, Miyisla, Kitsusa, there's no fixed limit. There's no precise time that boom, all of a sudden now she could get divorced. And therefore, ask the Gemara, there's no way that she has the power to go and get back her Maisi Yadayim. So we're back to square number one. What is the reason for the din of Rav Yochanan ben Nuri that she is able to be makdish her Maisi Yadayim even before they come into the world? So we turn over to Pei Vavim Abeis, and the Gemara tries again. Ela Amar Rav Ashi, similar to what we learned yesterday. Shiny Kainamois. Kainamois are different. If you look at the Tam of Firish over here, let's uncover it. The Tam of Firish comes along and explains Ela Amar Rav Ashi, the case is like we thought originally, that she's mekadesh her hands l'chim miskarsha. And we asked, how does that work? The answer is yes, it works. What was the question? The question was from other areas of halacha, but explains the Gemara, shiny kainamois, hektish kikdusha guf is dafrit. And therefore, that is the reason why maybe in a normal case, it would not work to be Mekadesh Maisi Yadeim. But Hektish has different rules, answers Rav Ashi, and proves Rav Ashi the Kedushas Aguf Dami, that has the same status of Kedushas Aguf, Uchid Rava. And as Rava has taught us, Tama Rava, Hektish, Chametz, Veshivchar, Mafkim, Midei Shibud. Special and unique rules apply to three entities. We've had this Gemara many times already, and we'll have it again soon again. Says Rava, when it comes to the entities of Hektish, that which belongs to the Beis HaMikdash. Chametz, that which has no owner on Pesach. Veshechar, if someone frees a slave, Mafkiin, Midei Shibud. These are all entities that do not have a Shibud, they're ownerless. And therefore, kainamos are going to be different. It's like Kedushas Aguf. And that's the reason you're going to have the ability to be Mekadesh Adavar Shaloi B'Lailam. That is the din of Rav Yochanan ben Nuri. So one last question. Yachi asked the Gemara, Lamali Shami Gershana. If we're going to such lengths, and we're explaining that this case is unique, the case of Hektish, the case of kainamos, so why did the Mishnah have to say, why did Rav Yochanan ben Nuri have to say, Shema Yigar Shena, that the reason is that maybe he'll divorce her and that's when the neder is going to take effect? Answers the Gemara, you're right. Tini, V'oid Shema Yigar Shena. Answers the Gemara, you're right. That's not an absolute din. You have to add into the Mishnah, V'oid. It's a second reason, but really onto its own. Hektish, kainamos are different rules, and that's the reason why Rav Yochanan ben Nuri holds you can be makdish adavar shalei b'olam, and that's why Shmuel paskins like Rav Yochanan ben Nuri, even though Shmuel as well, as we saw yesterday, paskins like, that Shmuel as well, paskins like Rav Yochanan Hasanler, that you cannot be makdish adavar shalei b'olam. It is not a contradiction, as one is kainamos and one is not. And we conclude today's share with a Mishnah on Pei Vavim Abeis. Says the Mishnah, an interesting case. One's wife made a neder, but the husband thought it was daughter made the neder. Or his daughter made a neder, he thought his wife made the neder. Or or the wife, the daughter made a neder to be a nazir, and the husband thought that she made a neder about a carbon. Or Najabi carbon, she made a neder about a carbon, and the husband thought that the neder was about Naziris. Or Nadar Miteinim, she made a neder from not eating figs. And Visavar Shanadim and Anavim, the husband thought the neder was for grapes. Najim and Anavim, Visavar Shanadim and Ateinim. So in all these cases in which the husband tried to be mefer, tried to revoke the vow, but it was either the wrong vow, it was the wrong person, it was wife, it was daughter, vice versa, or he thought carbon and it was Nazir or figs and grapes. What is the halacha? Says the Mishnah, Harei Zeh Yachzor ve'yifar. He has to go back and he has to do the afara again. If he's not aware of that which he's being made for, it does not work. You only can have a proper afara if it's done in the right entity. We'll pick it up from the Gemara in the next year. B'siyata Dishmaya.